The silence stretched, not the peaceful kind that settles after a long day, but a vast, echoing emptiness that permeated even the bustling coffee shop around her. Sarah stirred her lukewarm latte, watching couples laugh, friends chat animatedly, and colleagues brainstorm. On paper, she wasn't alone. Her apartment was filled with memories. Her phone buzzed with work emails, and her social media feeds were vibrant with shared lives. Yet, the gnawing ache in her chest, the pervasive sense of being an island adrift, was undeniable. This is the insidious deception of loneliness, a feeling often misunderstood and frequently misdiagnosed by external observation. It's why the title of our guide, A Guide to Navigate Through Loneliness, emphasizes navigate rather than simply overcome, acknowledging its complex, multi-layered terrain. We often conflate loneliness with solitude, using the terms interchangeably, but this is a critical misstep. Solitude, the state of being physically by oneself, can be a profound source of rejuvenation, creativity, and self-discovery. It's the artist in their studio, the hiker on a mountain trail, the reader lost in a book. This chosen separation allows for introspection, for listening to one's own thoughts without external noise. Loneliness, however, is not a choice. It's an involuntary and distressing emotional state characterized by a perceived deficit in social connection. It's a yearning for intimacy, for belonging, for shared understanding that remains unfulfilled. As the guide might suggest, it's not the absence of people, but the absence of connection. To truly navigate this often unseen landscape, we must first unpack its distinct nuances. Loneliness isn't a monolithic entity. It manifests in different forms, each requiring a tailored approach. The first, and perhaps most acutely felt, is emotional loneliness. This is the absence of a close, intimate attachment figure, a romantic partner, a best friend, or a trusted family member with whom one can share their deepest thoughts, fears, and vulnerabilities without judgment. It's the aching void left by a lack of emotional resonance, the feeling that no one truly gets you. You might have many acquaintances, but if there's no one with whom you can have that raw, authentic connection, emotional loneliness takes root. It's the paradox of feeling alone even when you're in a committed relationship, if that relationship lacks genuine emotional intimacy. The guide posits that this form of loneliness often stems from an unmet need for secure attachment, mirroring early life experiences where foundational emotional bonds may have been fragile or absent. Then there's social loneliness, which arises from a lack of broader social networks and a sense of belonging to a community or group. This isn't about intimate revelations, but about shared experiences, camaraderie, and a feeling of being part of something larger than oneself. It's the absence of casual friendships, colleagues to grab lunch with, or a club where you feel recognized and valued. Imagine moving to a new city, leaving behind your established circles, and struggling to find a new group where you feel you truly fit in. You might interact with many people daily, but if these interactions remain superficial, lacking the warmth and familiarity of shared history or purpose, social loneliness can easily set in. The guide emphasizes that humans are inherently social creatures, hardwired for tribal belonging. When this primal need isn't met, a pervasive sense of isolation can emerge, akin to being an outsider looking in on a vibrant party. Finally, and perhaps most profoundly, there's existential loneliness. This form transcends the interpersonal and delves into the fundamental human condition. It's the inherent awareness that, at our core, each of us is ultimately alone in our subjective experience of life and death. This isn't necessarily a negative state. Many philosophers and spiritual traditions highlight the importance of embracing this solitude for personal growth and self-actualization. However, when it's not acknowledged or integrated healthily, it can morph into a distressing feeling of profound isolation, a sense that no one can truly understand the depths of one's inner world or accompany them on their ultimate journey. The guide touches upon this by suggesting that confronting our own mortality and the inherent separateness of consciousness can be both terrifying and liberating, and that denial of this fundamental truth can lead to a deeper, more philosophical sense of being truly alone. It's the recognition that, while we can connect deeply with others, certain aspects of our being remain uniquely ours, an internal universe that only we can fully perceive. Understanding these distinctions is the first crucial step in navigating loneliness. If Sarah, stirring her latte, recognizes her ache as emotional loneliness, her strategy will differ vastly from someone experiencing social loneliness. One requires deepening existing bonds or forming new intimate ones. The other, broadening one's social circle and seeking group affiliations. If the feeling is existential, it might require a journey of self-reflection, purpose-finding, or even spiritual exploration rather than simply making more friends. By precisely identifying the type of loneliness you're experiencing, you gain a vital roadmap, transforming an amorphous, overwhelming feeling into a problem that can be understood, addressed, and ultimately navigated with intention and insight. It's about moving beyond the simplistic notion of being alone and embracing the complex reality of human connection or its perceived absence. The mirror reflected back not just a physical image, but a swirl of internal narratives. You're not interesting enough. They won't like the real you. It's safer to just stay home. These whispered doubts, often so subtle they become background noise, form a foundation of our inner landscape. This internal terrain, sculpted by past experiences, core beliefs, and the way we perceive ourselves, plays an unexpectedly powerful role in how we connect or fail to connect with others. It's a profound paradox. While loneliness is defined by a lack of external connection, its most formidable battles are often fought within. The guide suggests that understanding this inner world is not just an insightful exercise, but a critical first step towards fostering genuine, lasting relationships. If we don't address the internal barriers, even the most promising external opportunities for connection can crumble. One of the most potent saboteurs of connection is self-criticism. We tend to be far harsher on ourselves than we ever would be on a friend. This relentless inner critic can manifest as constant comparison, highlighting perceived flaws and convincing us that we are somehow unworthy of love, friendship, or belonging. If you believe deep down that you are fundamentally unlikable or boring, this belief will inevitably color your interactions. You might shy away from social invitations, fearing rejection, or when you do engage, you might project an aura of insecurity that inadvertently pushes others away. This isn't a conscious choice. It's the quiet erosion of confidence that makes vulnerability feel like an impossible risk. The guide points out that this internal narrative often echoes past experiences of rejection or perceived inadequacy, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy where the fear of not being accepted leads to behaviors that prevent acceptance. We become so focused on our perceived deficiencies that we miss opportunities for genuine connection, or we filter interactions through a lens of suspicion, always expecting the worst. Closely linked to self-criticism is the fear of vulnerability. To connect deeply with another human being requires a degree of openness, a willingness to share our authentic selves, including our imperfections, fears, and hopes. Yet, for many who experience loneliness, this prospect is terrifying. The inner landscape might be riddled with landmines of past hurts, betrayals, rejections, or ridicule after opening up. Consequently, an emotional wall is built, often unconsciously, to protect against further pain. This wall, while serving as a shield, also acts as a barrier, preventing others from truly seeing and connecting with us. We might present a carefully curated facade, a version of ourselves we deem acceptable, but this prevents the authentic connection that solidifies bonds. As the guide might articulate, true connection isn't about perfection. It's about mutual acceptance of imperfection. When we fear vulnerability, we deny others the opportunity to truly know us, and in doing so, we deny ourselves the very connection we crave. Furthermore, attachment styles formed in early childhood relationships with primary caregivers significantly shape our adult relational patterns. Anxious attachment, for instance, might lead to an intense craving for intimacy coupled with fear of abandonment, resulting in clingy or demanding behaviors that can overwhelm potential connections. Avoidant attachment, conversely, might manifest as a discomfort with closeness, leading individuals to maintain distance, suppress emotions, and prioritize independence, even when lonely. Disorganized attachment often presents a confusing mix, oscillating between seeking and pushing away intimacy due to unresolved trauma or inconsistency in early caregiving. These deeply ingrained patterns, operating largely below conscious awareness, dictate how we approach new relationships, how we react to perceived slights, and how we interpret the intentions of others. Understanding one's own attachment style, as a guide emphasizes, is akin to deciphering a personal relational blueprint, offering insights into why certain relational dynamics keep repeating. It helps us see that our current struggles with connection might not be due to a fundamental flaw in us, but rather an echo of past relational lessons that are no longer serving us. Ultimately, addressing these internal dynamics isn't about blaming oneself for loneliness. It's about empowering oneself to change the narrative. It involves cultivating self-compassion, recognizing that loneliness is a shared human experience, and treating oneself with the same kindness and understanding one would offer a dear friend. It means actively challenging negative self-talk, replacing "I'm not good enough" with "I am learning and growing." It requires taking brave, small steps toward vulnerability, perhaps with trusted individuals initially, to rebuild trust in the process of connection. By tending to this inner landscape, clearing the weeds of self-doubt and nurturing the seeds of self-worth, we begin creating an internal environment that not only allows for external connection, but actively attracts it. The most profound journey in navigating loneliness often begins not by reaching out, but by looking within, healing the parts of ourselves that inadvertently keep the world at bay. The realization that inner landscapes often block external connections is a crucial turning point. But knowing why we're lonely doesn't automatically dissolve the feeling. The next vital step, as outlined in A Guide to Navigate Through Loneliness, is to move from understanding to action, to deliberately cultivate the art of reconnection. This isn't about simply accumulating acquaintances, but about strategically building and nurturing relationships that genuinely enrich your life and alleviate that aching sense of disconnection. It requires courage, consistency, and a willingness to step outside comfort zones, transforming casual interactions into meaningful bonds and reviving dormant ones that might be closer than you think. One of the most accessible yet overlooked avenues for reconnection is re-engaging with existing contacts. We often dismiss the people already in our orbit, former classmates, distant relatives, past colleagues, or even that friendly barista you see every morning. The guide suggests making a conscious effort to reach out to someone you haven't spoken to in a while. A simple text, "Hey, I was just thinking about you. How have things been?" Or an email, "It's been a while. I'd love to catch up if you're free for coffee sometime," can reignite a connection that felt lost. These are low-pressure ways to test the waters, and you might be surprised by how receptive people are. Remember, many people feel a similar longing for connection, and your initiative might be a welcome relief to them. The key is to move beyond the superficial. Instead of just talking about the weather, inquire about their passions, their challenges, their dreams. Shared vulnerability, even in small doses, is the bedrock of deeper bonds. Beyond rekindling old flames, actively creating new avenues for connection is essential. This is where the concept of shared interest becomes incredibly powerful. Joining groups, clubs, or classes centered around a hobby you genuinely enjoy provides an organic environment for connection. Whether it's a book club, a hiking group, a language exchange class, a volunteer organization, or a local sports league, these settings offer a built-in common ground. You're not just meeting random strangers. You're meeting people who already share at least one passion with you, immediately providing conversation starters and potential for shared experiences. The guide emphasizes that the activity itself acts as a natural icebreaker, reducing the pressure of making conversation and allowing relationships to develop more naturally over time. Think about it. It's much easier to chat with someone about the plot twist in your shared novel or the challenge of a new pottery technique than to simply try to make friends from scratch. Furthermore, volunteering is a potent double-edged sword against loneliness. It not only connects you with like-minded individuals who care about a similar cause, but also provides a profound sense of purpose and contribution. When you're actively working alongside others towards a common goal, barriers naturally fall. The focus shifts from your internal discomfort to the shared task, fostering camaraderie and a sense of belonging. The guide highlights that the act of giving back can significantly boost self-esteem and reduce feelings of isolation, reinforcing the idea that you are a valuable part of a larger community. Whether it's helping at an animal shelter, serving meals at a soup kitchen, or participating in a community cleanup, the shared effort creates a unique bonding experience. Finally, and perhaps most challenging for those struggling with loneliness, is the practice of consistent, small acts of engagement. Building deep bonds isn't usually about one grand gesture. It's about a series of consistent, small investments. This could mean following up after a coffee chat, remembering a detail someone shared and asking about it later, offering a genuine compliment, or simply being reliably present in a group setting. The guide suggests that consistency builds trust and shows genuine interest. It's about showing up, being present, and making an effort, even when it feels uncomfortable. It's also crucial to practice active listening, truly hearing what another person is saying rather than just waiting for your turn to speak. When people feel heard and understood, they are far more likely to open up and seek further connection. The art of reconnection is less about finding the one perfect friend and more about cultivating a garden of varied relationships, each offering different forms of support and joy. It's a journey of intentional steps, one conversation, one shared laugh, one act of kindness at a time, steadily weaving a richer, more connected life. The constant societal pressure to connect, to be social, often leads us to view solitude as the enemy of loneliness. We are conditioned to believe that being alone is synonymous with being left out, unwanted, or worse, fundamentally flawed. Yet, a guide to navigate through loneliness profoundly challenges this misconception, advocating for the powerful distinction between enforced isolation and chosen solitude. This chapter argues that far from being a void to be filled, solitude can be a fertile ground for self-discovery, creativity, and profound peace, an inner sanctuary that, paradoxically, can make our eventual connections with others even more meaningful. The true art lies not in avoiding being alone, but in transforming moments of aloneness into opportunities for self-nourishment. Imagine solitude not as an empty room, but as a blank canvas awaiting your unique expression. When we are constantly surrounded by external stimuli, opinions, and demands, our inner voice can be drowned out. We become reactive, living life in response to others rather than from a place of genuine self-awareness. Stepping into solitude provides a necessary quiet space for introspection. It allows us to process emotions, reflect on experiences, and understand our own desires and needs without the influence or expectations of others. This is where clarity emerges, where unresolved thoughts find space to be examined, and where we can truly listen to the whispers of our own intuition. The guide suggests that this deliberate engagement with self helps us differentiate between our authentic selves and the roles we play for others, making us more resilient against the pangs of loneliness when they do arise. We develop an internal reservoir of contentment that isn't solely dependent on external validation. Furthermore, solitude is often the birthplace of creativity. Many great artists, writers, musicians, and thinkers have emphasized the necessity of withdrawing from the world to tap into their deepest imaginative wells. When we are alone, our minds are free to wander, to make unexpected connections, and to explore ideas without interruption or judgment. This doesn't mean you have to be a professional artist. It applies to anyone engaging in activities that require focus and self-expression, whether it's journaling, painting, playing a musical instrument, solving a complex problem, or simply engaging in thoughtful contemplation. These activities flourish in solitude. They provide a sense of accomplishment and self-efficacy, proving that time spent alone can be profoundly productive and fulfilling, rather than just an empty space to endure. The guide notes that cultivating hobbies that can be enjoyed solo is a powerful antidote to the fear of being alone, turning perceived emptiness into rich opportunity. Cultivating an inner sanctuary also involves learning to be present with oneself. In our hyperconnected world, we're often either dwelling on the past or worrying about the future, rarely fully inhabiting the present moment. Solitude offers an invitation to practice mindfulness, to pay attention to our breath, our bodily sensations, and immediate environment without judgment. This practice can significantly reduce anxiety and cultivate a sense of inner calm. It's about finding peace in stillness, appreciating the simple act of being. For instance, a solitary walk in nature, truly observing the trees, the sky, the sounds, can be a deeply meditative and grounding experience. It's about actively choosing to be with yourself, treating your own company as valuable, rather than simply tolerating it. Finally, the ironic truth is that a healthy relationship with solitude often leads to more authentic and robust connections with others. When you are comfortable with yourself, when you understand your own needs and boundaries, you bring a more grounded and complete self to your relationships. You are less likely to seek external connections purely to fill a void or escape discomfort. Instead, you can engage with others from a place of choice and genuine desire for shared experience, rather than desperate need. This self-sufficiency makes you a more appealing and less demanding companion. The guide beautifully illustrates this. A well-tended inner garden produces fruits that are more appealing to others. Developing this inner sanctuary isn't a retreat from the world. It's a strategic preparation for engaging with it more fully, more authentically, and with greater resilience against the inevitable ebb and flow of human connection. It teaches us that being truly alone can, in fact, be a path to feeling more connected, first to ourselves, and then, more meaningfully, to the world around you as I end the labyrinthine corridors of modern life. The glowing screens of our devices have become ubiquitous companions. They promise endless connection, a boundless network of friends, followers, and virtual communities. Yet, for many navigating the landscape of loneliness, these very tools often exacerbate the problem, creating a profound disconnect between the illusion of connection and the reality of isolation. This paradox is central to a guide to navigate through loneliness, which critically examines how we can move beyond the screen to foster genuine relationships in an increasingly digital world. It's about learning to leverage technology as a bridge to real-world interaction, rather than allowing it to become a barrier. The allure of digital connection is undeniable. Social media platforms offer instant gratification. Likes, comments, and shares can provide fleeting bursts of validation, creating a deceptive sense of belonging. We can observe the lives of hundreds, even thousands of friends without ever truly engaging deeply with a single one. This passive consumption, often fueled by curated highlight reels, fosters comparisonitis, leading us to believe that everyone else is living a vibrant, connected life while we are somehow falling short. The guide warns that this constant comparison can deepen feelings of inadequacy and intensify loneliness, as the digital world paints an unrealistic picture of universal happiness and social ease. It's a performative space where authenticity often takes a back seat to presentation, making true, vulnerable connection difficult to achieve. The sheer volume of superficial digital friends can obscure the painful scarcity of real, intimate bonds. Furthermore, the convenience of digital interaction can inadvertently erode our capacity for face-to-face communication. Why endure the awkwardness of a first meeting when you can just send a text? Why engage in a deep conversation when a quick emoji suffices? This reliance on digital shortcuts can diminish our social muscles, making us less comfortable with eye contact, reading body language, or navigating the organic flow of a real-time conversation. The guide might suggest that true intimacy is built on shared presence, on the subtle cues and unspoken understandings that only come from being physically together. When we prioritize screens over genuine human interaction, we risk losing the very skills necessary to forge the profound connections our brains and hearts crave. However, the solution isn't to abandon digital tools entirely. Instead, it's about mastering the art of leveraging digital for analog gain. Technology can be an incredible facilitator when used intentionally. For instance, instead of endless scrolling, use social media to find local groups or events aligned with your interests. Discover a book club through a Facebook group. Find a volunteer opportunity advertised on a community forum, or connect with fellow enthusiasts on a hobby-specific app. The digital world can be a powerful discovery engine, leading you to real-world opportunities for connection. The guide stresses that the goal isn't just to find people online, but to transition those online connections into tangible, in-person interactions. This might mean suggesting a coffee meetup after a few online chats, or actively participating in online groups that organize real-life gatherings. Another critical strategy is to use digital communication to maintain and deepen existing relationships, particularly with those who live far away. Video calls, voice notes, and thoughtful messages can bridge geographical distances, keeping bonds warm and alive until an in-person meeting is possible. However, the distinction lies in the quality of these digital interactions. Are you truly engaging in meaningful dialogue, or just exchanging memes? Are you sharing snippets of your authentic life, or just broadcasting highlight reels? The guide encourages using digital platforms for genuine connection, asking open-ended questions, sharing vulnerabilities, and making time for focused, undistracted conversations, even if they're virtual. Ultimately, Navigating digital connection in an analog world requires mindfulness and intentionality. It's about recognizing when the screen is serving as a bridge and when it's becoming a wall. It means setting boundaries around screen time, prioritizing real-life encounters, and consciously cultivating the social skills that flourish only in face-to-face interaction. It's about understanding that while pixels can create a sense of proximity, they can never fully replicate the warmth of a shared smile, the comfort of a comforting touch, or the deep resonance of a truly present conversation. Moving beyond the screen means moving toward a more tactile, authentic, and deeply connected existence, where technology serves our human need for belonging rather than replacing it. There are moments in the journey through loneliness when even the most diligent application of strategies for connection and self-care may not be enough. The feeling can become a heavy, persistent shroud, dulling life's colors and making every attempt at connection feel like an insurmountable task. It's in these moments that a guide to navigate through loneliness emphasizes a critical, often overlooked, yet profoundly courageous step: seeking professional help. This isn't a sign of failure, but rather an act of profound self-compassion and a recognition that some landscapes are too vast and complex to traverse alone, requiring a specialized compass and an experienced guide. The stigma surrounding mental health often acts as a significant barrier here. We readily seek medical attention for a broken bone or a persistent cough. Yet when our emotional well-being is fractured, we might hesitate, fearing judgment or believing we should be able to handle it ourselves. This internalized pressure to be perpetually strong can trap individuals in a cycle of isolation. The guide firmly debunks this myth, asserting that loneliness, particularly when chronic and debilitating, is a legitimate emotional pain that warrants professional attention, just like any other health concern. It's a signal from your inner self that something fundamental isn't connecting, and often stems from deeper roots that are difficult to identify and address without an objective, trained perspective. So, when does loneliness cross the line from a difficult emotion to a condition that warrants professional intervention? The guide offers several indicators. If your loneliness is persistent and pervasive, lasting for an extended period, weeks or months, and showing no signs of easing despite your best efforts to connect. If it significantly impairs your daily functioning, making it hard to concentrate at work, engage in hobbies, or even complete simple tasks. If it's accompanied by other distressing symptoms like chronic sadness, anxiety, hopelessness, changes in sleep patterns or appetite, or thoughts of self-harm. Or if you find yourself stuck in destructive patterns that seem to push people away, even when you crave connection, such as extreme shyness, social anxiety, or a constant fear of rejection that paralyzes your attempts to reach out. These are not character flaws, but rather signs that underlying psychological dynamics may be at play, which a professional can help unravel. A therapist or counselor can provide that professional compass. They offer a safe, confidential, and non-judgmental space to explore the origins of your loneliness. This might involve delving into past experiences, early attachment wounds, traumatic events, or significant losses that shaped your ability to form secure bonds. They can help you identify and challenge those deeply ingrained negative self-perceptions, like the ones discussed in Topic 2, that inadvertently sabotage your attempts at connection. A therapist can also equip you with practical tools, developing healthier communication skills, practicing assertiveness, setting appropriate boundaries, managing social anxiety, and building self-esteem. They act as a mirror, reflecting patterns you might not see, and a guide, offering new pathways forward. The guide emphasizes that this is not about being fixed, but about being empowered to understand and transform your own relational patterns. Beyond individual therapy, support groups can also be an invaluable resource. These groups, often led by a facilitator, bring together individuals who are experiencing similar struggles. The power of a support group lies in its ability to foster a profound sense of universality, the realization that you are not alone in your experience. Hearing others share their struggles with loneliness, their fears, and their small victories can be incredibly validating and normalize your own feelings. It provides a unique opportunity to practice social skills in a safe, empathetic environment, building confidence for interactions in the wider world. The shared journey can create powerful bonds, reducing isolation, and reinforcing the idea that healing is a collaborative process. Ultimately, the courage to seek help is a testament to your resilience and your deep-seated desire for a more connected life. It means acknowledging that while personal effort is crucial, there's no shame in seeking expert guidance when faced with a challenge as complex and deeply human as loneliness. It's an investment in your mental and emotional well-being, an act of self-love that can fundamentally alter the trajectory of your journey, leading you out of the shadows of isolation and towards the warmth of genuine human connection. The guide concludes that this step is not an endpoint, but a powerful new beginning, marking a commitment to a life where you are truly seen, truly heard, and truly connected. Feeling the pull of these insights? Don't navigate the path of connection alone. Subscribe to our channel for weekly deep dives, practical strategies, and empowering conversations that will transform your understanding of yourself and your relationships. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a step on your journey to a richer, more connected life. Join our community today, and let's build meaningful bonds together